Welcome back to Real Talk, the series where we sit down with real investors, doing real deals, and actually break down what's happening in today's market. So today's guest is Trayjen, a young, sharp investor making moves across multiple states, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, Texas. So from traditional wholesaling to even create innovations, he's building real momentum without actually burning out. So if you guys are ready, let's dive right into the interview. So thank you so much, Trayjen, for being part of the show. So let's actually start a little bit from the beginning. What actually pulled you into the real estate market, and how old were you when you got started out?
Yeah, so I've been all over the place. So I went to college, got 3 degrees, 2 bachelor's and masters, worked in corporate America and marketing for a long time, about 6 years. Throughout college, owned a moving company with a friend, kind of shuffled around. I knew I've always wanted to be a business owner, working 9 to 5 just kind of wasn't my speed. Right out of college, took a marketing job, worked there for a while, started a little side gig, owning a marketing agency. Back in 2022, quit that to go full-time with the agency. Started doing some marketing for guys in the real estate space, learned about the business a little bit more. Did a little bit of wholesaling, my first deal was a $15K assignment back in 2023. I believe January 2023. So, got a taste of that, realized the marketing business was kind of being weeded out by AI. I built websites and then did lead generation, automations, funnels, etc. So kind of being replaced by AI. Got my first taste of real estate by doing some marketing for some of those guys. The rest is really history. I saw that $15K assignment on my first deal and realized, what am I doing? Why am I not in this space? I was 24, 25 at the time.
So that was basically your first deal, right? Like back in when you were like 24, 25, 15K assignment. So was it like a wholesale, or innovation?
That was a wholesale deal. So I had a gentleman that I did some social media stuff for, had a huge portfolio of some properties. He told me what he wanted. I knew a guy who would buy them. Walked every property with him. He offered me $15K more than the guy wanted, and I kept the rest.
Amazing. And I know you're also running multiple deals in different states. So what gave you the confidence to expand beyond your local market?
Yeah, so I got to be honest, I've got to give kind of all the credit to that. I've got a guy that I look up to a lot. We work together on a lot of things. His name is Will Yu. He runs all my Facebook ads. I do a lot of wholesaling in my local market. I kind of know everybody who buys in Cleveland, Akron, and Canton. A deal that comes in there, I have it sold within 48 hours. Will kind of pushed me and said, hey, man, if you can do stuff like that in those states, imagine what you could do in states with bigger spreads. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Cleveland, Akron, but the spreads aren't the best. If you have a 10K spread around here, that's a pretty banger deal. So moved into some markets, got pushed by Will to go into some of those bigger markets like North Carolina, Texas, Florida, where, a 5% spread is a lot more than 10K on most of those deals. So got to be honest, he was the main reason for the push there.
No, I'm familiar with William Yu. So I think Connor also works very closely with him.
It really makes my life simple. I've got an acquisitions guy, and just having those leads already warm, pre-qualified is massive, right? It's a lot less time on the phone. Get the information, get the offer out. That's it. So
amazing. So how do you keep everything organized right now, from leads to sellers to markets without getting overwhelmed, or you can say lost?
Obviously the CRM is huge, right? So, not getting paid to say this or anything, and not just because we're on a call for it, but I've been through 2 other CRMs. They were kind of lackluster in a lot of organizational tools. Obviously with Closing Control, all the seller dispos helps me keep everything in line. So, my acquisitions guy, every morning, he's got a strict schedule. He'll go into, hot sellers, hot leads. We'll go into untouched, see if any of them will give us a chance today. And then obviously the offer needed tab where, we got to get those guys a number. Offer delivered, maybe they didn't accept it or sign. We're immediately following up with them each day. So obviously that organizational tool helps a lot. I think just a lot of back and forth communications. We use Slack. So, talking with him in there, we do a lot of internal commenting on Closing Control as well. That helps a lot because there's a notifications tab. Each morning is kind of the overseer of everything, of the VAs, the acquisitions guy. I go in, I click, I read through my mentions, and I'm back on whatever else I need to go to. So that honestly helps a lot. Again, not just saying it because this is a call for the CRM. Closing Control's really helped me a lot. I've preached it to a couple people I work with and do some deals with. So I think that's helped me manage my time a lot better in the wholesale dispo business.
It's amazing. I'm glad to see that you guys are enjoying the CRM.
It's helped a lot. It really has. It saves me a lot of time.
That's great. Could you walk us through maybe one of your most recent deal that really stood out for you throughout your entire experience? Walk us through the deal and what exactly made it work. One of your best deals.
Yeah, I just closed a deal last week. This one was interesting because, we got the lead back in late January, early February. Wasn't really ready to sell. The lead actually came from the daughter-in-law of the owner of the home. So owner of the home, not a big fan of the daughter-in-law. I don't know how to say this nicely, my term. You'll just have to edit this out. We call them form whores. So, they're filling out every form possible for a cash offer. They're filling out 10, 50, 20 forms, talking to all those people, just like myself, right? So, the daughter-in-law talked to 20 of these people, and, of the 23 got their information passed to the actual owner of the home. I was one of the 3. Spoke to her back in early February, we'll call it, and wasn't ready to sell. The son wasn't ready to move out. Nurtured that lead. This was actually before closer control, so I was manually nurturing and contacting this lead every week, talking to her, sending her texts, sending her emails, calling her, asking how her day was, etc. We actually just closed on that at the beginning of this month. Follow-up is everything, and that is exactly why I needed to move to a CRM that helps me out a little bit with the follow-up. Having 100, 200, 300 leads in there that are hot leads, it's just impossible to follow up with them each and every day. So, lucky I was able to follow up with that one as much as I did and see the process through 5 months later, finally got to a close. Having this system is nice because the follow-up is kind of done for me. I don't have to do it manually. Obviously, I'll still call here and there just to, put my voice out there. Sometimes I've started testing hopping on Zoom calls, even with some follow-up, presenting offers, etc. So that's helped a lot. But that was a cool deal. It was a $30K assignment, which was a massive one. It was down in Florida. So it was a good deal. I'm sorry, I just got a notification, another deal closed.
Well, that's good. It's like a 30K assignment. That's pretty good, actually. So how big is your team, if you don't mind sharing it with us?
Yeah, so 1 VA, 1 acquisitions guy. Connor will agree, will agree. I'm kind of a stubborn guy. I like control a lot of things. I like knowing what's going on, what pieces are moving around. So, it took a long time for me to be able to say, okay, I need to hire. I realized I was at a bottleneck, not only because I just have, the inbound leads that are flowing through the CRM. I also am kind of known locally as one of the biggest dispo guys in my local markets. So, that going along with my personal number. So I get personal calls, personal texts all day. Hey, can you sell this deal for me? Can you sell this deal for me? So realizing that I had enough lead flow and not enough time to handle it all myself, it was a tough pill to swallow, being the control freak I am. So I'm actually in rapid hire mode. I just started my acquisitions guy 2 weeks ago. The VA started 2 weeks ago. Currently looking for a strictly dispo guy. Probably bring on another VA to manage. We're going to add some cold calling in through closer control, whether that's data syndicate or a comparable. We're going to add those in. So the team is small right now, but if you asked me 2 months ago if I was going to ever hire, I would have told you no. A million times I would have told you no. But again, Will kind of pushed me. Connor said the same thing. I've talked to other closer control users. So it's at the point where, I'm my biggest bottleneck, and that's only going to change with hiring on the team.
Definitely. Totally understandable. That's great for you to share. So where do you see your journey as well as your business growing to, let's say, 12 months from now?
But when I'm out talking and things like this, I always preach that wholesaling is never the end all. Wholesaling is just a means to acquire some capital. That way you can move into the next steps, whether that's rentals, whether that's your own flips. Me personally, in 12 months, I'd like to be in a spot where I can wholesale what I don't want and keep what I do. So if I'm getting leads in my local markets and I want to do the flips, I want to keep it as maybe a rental. If it's a duplex, triplex, I want to be able to have the funds and the means necessary, and also the team and structure to put into place to do that. So 12 months from now, if I see a great deal, I'm like, hey, why make a 10K assignment if I can do a 30K flip on it, right? So that's kind of where I would like to be in a year.
Thanks for sharing your vision. One last question. So let's say for someone starting out in the real estate game, what would be the one piece of advice you could give out to a newbie or someone just getting started?
I really think there's 2 important pieces that are very, very necessary. Obviously, your network is your net worth. I'll preach that till I'm blue in the face. You could be one of the best in the game, right? You can lock down contracts left, right. If you don't have the network to know where that deal's going or how to sell the deal or how to structure the deal. For example, when I was first learning novations, I was clueless. I had people in my network that I can call. I just got off a call. I said, hey, this agent's kind of giving me this feedback to list this novation. How would you circumvent that? Some of the biggest people in the industry still have friends they call to ask questions. So your network is direly important. The second thing I would say is the tools and systems, right? I've preached again and again how much the CRM's helped me, but even little things when I was starting out, I didn't have DocuSign, right? So I was using Adobe PDF to fill things in, have these guys sign it via email. It was crazy, right? So when I went DocuSign, even just that little tool made my life entirely easy. Now I use tools like notarize.com when I'm doing an innovation. I need to get stuff notarized. Having the right tools can make things so simple, because if you don't know the right tools to use, your life is truly intricate, right? If I need a paper notarized and I didn't have that tool, I'm pretty clueless. I'm doing this fully remote, right? So if I need to get a notary in North Carolina, I'm going to spend time on the phones, making calls, seeing who can get there, coordinating the times when they can get there. But instead, I have a great tool that I have that is an online notary. You hop on a 5-minute FaceTime, you get your papers notarized, you're done. Tools are really important.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, Trayjen. Well, there you have it, folks. That's it for this week's episode of Real Talk with Close Control. Obviously, if you guys are doing any real estate deals in Ohio, Texas, Florida, you guys can always reach out to Trayjen for advice, or maybe even if you're looking to get into some deals with him as well. And on top of that, thank you so much once again for being here with this show with us. So tune in next week, guys, where we'll come up with new stories, with new updates, and also share about what's exactly happening in the market. So with that, it's it for today. See you next week, folks.